So these are the very first, some of the very first, like, punk-related records I ever heard. And so, the first one is Let Them Eat Jelly Beans. So this, if I remember correctly, a friend of Bruce's made him a copy of Let Them Eat Jelly Beans on cassette tape, and I remember when he brought it home and played it, and we were really interested immediately because it was really hard music, intense. It sounded completely different, like we've never heard anything like it before. So it really struck our curiosity, and the energy was there, and the, you know, and when I heard Pay to Come by the Bad Brains, I flipped. That beat, I just thought was the coolest thing I'd ever heard in my life, and I knew that I had to learn that one day, and I did. It's one of my favorite beats, actually. So that record is phenomenal, absolutely. I still have a copy. Number 2 is Rodney on the Rock, and it's a comp that came out around the same time as Let Them Eat Jelly Beans. Some of the same bands, LA based. Rodney was a DJ. I don't know, he might still be a DJ in the Los Angeles area, and he had a radio show, and he'd have bands, he'd invite bands on there for interviews. Bands may have even played live on the show at times, but if he played your band, you would get a hell of a lot more people coming to your shows, and you know, instant local punk rock fame. Number 3 is In God We Trust, and that is pretty much the first 12-inch by the Dead Kennedys. I'm pretty sure. I think it is. And it's just like, from beginning to end, it's just a fast punk rock onslaught. I think there's video footage on YouTube of them recording it too. Like, there's video footage from the recording sessions. And then that was a really, really inspiring record, because it is like one of the first very fast punk records, for sure. Number 3 is the Subhumans. I think this is their first LP, and I actually didn't end up getting a copy of this until quite a few years later. It's not a cheap record, and I actually found a copy at the swap meet here in Tacoma randomly. I think it's, I didn't write down the name of the record, but I think it's something like Incorrect Thoughts. I hope I'm right. Great record. Also, they were featured on Let Them Eat Jelly Beans, so that's another band that we first heard, Let Them Eat Jelly Beans. Let Them Eat Jelly Beans was kind of a launching record, so some of the bands on there, that was the first time we had heard those bands. So this is like 1982-ish. I would have been like 13, and Bruce would have been like 17. And yeah, so a lot of the first bands that we heard were on Let Them Eat Jelly Beans. Damaged by Black Flag is the next one, and I mean, Damaged is, you know, the first time that I actually bought a copy of Damaged. So Bruce and I wouldn't very often both buy the same record because it wouldn't make sense, because we kind of had our record collections combined. So he'd buy something, you know, like he bought the Subhumans record, he bought In God We Trust, and I bought Damaged, and I bought Rock for Light. Anyway, so Damaged is like, for me, it was, I mean, after Ace of Spades, you know, it was the most intense, raw, heavy punk rock. You know, I mean, anything that was in that type of genre I'd ever heard. You know, I mean, Black Flag was just, Damage was just in your face, just kicked my ass completely. Well, Rock for Light is next, and Rock for Light is probably one of my very favorite punk records ever. I mean, it's on that list, and I remember listening to it every day. You know, I mean, that was just like, you know, that's the type of drummer I wanted to be. And it also has some reggae songs on there, which took a little while to get used to, but I like all the reggae songs. I like all the songs on Rock for Light. So that's just a staple punk record for any collection, and for anybody that's just starting to get to know, you know, getting to know punk bands. Next is Pick Your King by Poison Idea. Well, this is another onslaught punk record. And from beginning to end, it's just ripping. For the Northwest, they were one of the most influential punk bands in the early Northwest scene. Definitely more influential than early Accused or Rejectors, or the Farts. I mean, the Farts were of course like a ripping punk band back then, but Poison Idea, the guitar riffs, and I would definitely recommend, you know, you have to listen to Pick Your King. One side there's a picture of Elvis, on the other side there's a picture of Jesus. The next record is Fighting Boys by Battalion of Saints. This is a EP, and with the cover drawn by Mark Rude. This is one of my very favorite punk records too. Yeah, I'd have to say it's pretty rare to find on vinyl. I think there's only like 1,000 copies was pressed to that. They may have been repressed by now, but that's good stuff. And that's kind of like getting into a little bit of a metal edge there at times. And I think that's 1983, I want to say, maybe 82. Most of these are all like, I don't know, between 80 and 83. Okay, DOA's first album. I don't have the name of it written down here. I think it's self-titled. This is super rare, and I actually bought this. I bought a copy of this in Vancouver, or somewhere close to Vancouver in Canada. Otherwise, it was probably impossible to find this. They only pressed 500 to 1,000 copies. It's pretty expensive record. Great punk record. Again, that was they were on Let Them Eat Jelly Beans. A lot of these bands were. That's where we first heard them, was Let Them Eat Jelly Beans or Rodney on the Rock. The next one is Group Sex by Circle Jerks. Another key punk record for that era. Oh, the first Adolescence record. I'll throw that in too. So that's a super important record for early. So like, yeah, I mean, Group Sex and the first Adolescence record, I mean, both like just phenomenal punk records for that era. Again, bands like Germs, X, you know, I could probably think of more, but so I'll just do these for now, and I'll do another video pretty soon. Okay, bye.